And now, as we are setting up this stage for our first panel discussion of the day, I will take the pleasure inviting our panelists as soon as all of you, ladies and gentlemen, settle down. To those of you who are just joining us, once again, friends, I'd like to redirect you towards the empty chairs that we have on the far end of the hall towards the sound console. Yes, please do take a seat, make yourselves comfortable. We request you to kindly take a moment to switch your cell phones to a silent mode so that we do not disrupt any of the proceedings here, as we are now ready to commence with a power-packed discussion on leveraging AI, use cases, benefits, and challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our esteemed panelists, our illustrious panelists right here with us, and I would take the pleasure inviting them here. I request each and every one of you to give them a nice warm round of applause as they join us. I welcome up on stage Mr. Amit Das, co-founder and CEO, Think 360 Consent Pro. Welcome, sir. Please do take a seat. And yes, do participate in a nice warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome up on stage Ms. Latika S Kundu, Managing Director and CEO, Metropolitan Stock Exchange of India. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining us. I'd like to welcome Mr. Piyush, Chourasia, Chief Regulatory Officer, National Stock Exchange of India. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to welcome Ms. Praveena Rai, Managing Director and CEO, the Multi-Commodity Exchange of India. Welcome, ma'am. We'd like to welcome Mr. Sundararaman Ramamurthy, Managing Director and CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE. Welcome, sir. This session, ladies and gentlemen, will be moderated by Mr. Manoj Kumar, Executive Director, Securities and Exchange Board of India. I welcome you to join us, sir. All right, all over to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning. Mr. Manoj Kumar, Executive Director, SEBI, is on his way, and I'm sure most of you would have seen it's not an easy task to reach this building, given the level of the interest shown by all of you and the infrastructure outside. So in the interest of time of all of yours, SEBI has requested whether we can start the session and continue it when Mr. Manoj Kumar will be joining. So I have got the honor of leading it, and hope you all enjoy the session. The introductions have already been given to the people who are sitting on the dais. Let me give a brief introduction on the thought process about what we are going to talk as the topic. I'll start it with a small story. Long before, when I came to Mumbai in search of a job and settled down with Industrial Development Bank of India, my office was in a place called New India Center. In the afternoon, I found some of my colleagues post-lunch rushing somewhere. One day, out of curiosity, I asked them, "Where are you all going?" They told me Bombay Stock Exchange. I asked them, I would also like to come. They said, "Sorry, we can't wait for you. You find your own way." I said, "I am new to this place." They said, "Don't worry. Go to Flora Fountain, which is just straight down the lane, and just trace the building where from huge noise is coming. You are in Bombay Stock Exchange." Honestly, that's how first I had a brush with the exchange today, which I am fortunate enough to be leading as MD and CEO. What's the point I'm making? Trading used to happen in a hall, congregated with people making a lot of sign language, a lot of noise, and of course, generating a lot of paper waste. Fast forward. Today, where are we? From a trading hall to a broker's office, and to the office of the client, and today to the pocket of the investor, stock exchanges have migrated. This has been possible because of the telecom revolution, which the country has seen, and the digitalization. The payment infrastructure, the depository infrastructure, the regulatory thought processes have all ushered in such a great change. What brought us here will not take us forward. What is the new thing in the street? Artificial intelligence. That's exactly where today the topic starts. So there are quite a few questions in the minds of many of us about artificial intelligence. So let's try to understand how people generally go about artificial intelligence in their own organization. We have sort of compiled a few questions. We will probably go through one by one with the people who are sitting here to talk to you all. Good morning, everybody in the panel. Thanks for accepting me as a person to coordinate for all of you till we get Mr. Manoj Kumar on the dais. Sir, can you please tell that in your organization, when you think of AI, how do you think about it?
Just as a quick thing, I am probably the maker while I expect all of you to be the checker as the AI company. So Think 360 is part of CAMS. So we have a dual responsibility of trying to bring innovation while being very regulated in the way we think about innovation, in the way we think about ideas. But broadly, there are 4 or 5 pillars around which most of the innovation that we think about, that we talk about, and what it matters to the market for. A is, it's a foundational pillar. I call it the data governance pillar, right? What data is being used, how it is being used, is it relevant to the set of problems that I want to solve? At the topmost level, you'll find the outcomes. So I want to get there from the other end of the problem, because it's easy to talk about fancy AI outcomes and forget what it takes to get us there, right? And when you think about a company like CAMS, you could say that we are the custodians of a large data infrastructure for the mutual fund industry, for example, right? So the foundational pillar is data governance. What can you use? How can you use? What quality does it come in? And by using it in a certain way, are you breaching the trust that you have been, somebody has reposed in you? The second layer is almost what we do traditionally as quant models, algorithms to solve a problem. The third is once you built it, how do you deliver it? And then the fourth layer, deliver is the outcome sort of a part. The fourth layer is where we make mistakes, which is what we as regulated institutions have to watch out for. And I call it the edge cases or the mistakes that happen, right? Now, every space that we need, kind of look at in the broader BFSI ecosystem, whether we talk about customer onboarding, a lot of innovation has happened. When we talk about transactions and settlements, lots of innovation has happened. If you look at the trajectory of the last decade or two, it's stuff that people dream of when they're building businesses. But with that scale up, you always have scenarios that you have not kind of controlled. So there's sort of a dispute resolution or escalation management as a mindset that comes into play. There's sort of a regulated risk management that comes into play. And then the entire customer service comes into play, right? So some of these pillars is how we think about innovation. Those are the buckets where we are trying to think about how to use AI. What is beautiful about today's conversation of AI is the pillars that I said. The amount of data that we as a country, we as an economy, we as a sector, we as a company have access to is probably growing 100x every year. So if I was dealing with 1 gigabyte of data 10 years back, today I deal with a terabyte of data in a day, right? So that speed, velocity of data has changed. And we want to use all of it, and the infra is ready for that. So we can use it. There are delivery mechanisms to deliver, a chat GPT sort of experience, and we probably will see examples of companies that are trying to change how stock market analysis is done, how mutual fund analysis is done, how recommendations are given. It's possible, but what's possible, as I learned in 2 years back with my heavier interaction with the regulators, it might be possible, but is it recommended that you do it? So that's the guardrail with which we have to think about it.
So nice. Moving on, Latika, you are at crossroads now. You have huge aspirations of growing, and you are embarking on a big journey. How do you think, in your exchange, you will be using AI to further the goals which you are trying to pursue?
Thanks, Sundar. Am I audible now? Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Uh, and thanks, Amit. Sundar, you started by speaking on the various ways and from where the roots of the stock market started, and that too at the Asia's oldest stock exchange. Amit has spoken of the entire 360 view on what AI really encompasses. We as an aspirational exchange, thanks for putting that through in that beautiful way, uh, we are looking at AI in a way which will help collaborate and create healthy competition. These two, according to me, run in parallel and are very important for us as MIIs to take on this responsibility so that we can deliver that to the market, to the entire capital market. Yes, there are examples of it coming into surveillance, and there are areas in which there is a conversation either globally or locally here. I think what is more important is that can we, at Metropolitan Stock Exchange, MSC, we have been continuously, proposing that there should be a central member authority. That is the collaborative part we feel, which we all MIs along with SEBI would be able to make this happen. The reason why, okay, we have Manoj coming in, so probably, welcome Manoj. Now, okay, I will continue. So we are looking at this central member authority with the use of AI, be a collaborative force for all of us to be able to create a far more effective capital market system where compliances, where registration, right from registration to the final compliances as well, including surveillance, would all be centralized, would be AI driven. Now, how, of course, as Amit said, it's something that you say and what is the nuances that go into each of these pieces. That is, of course, something that you need to really sit on the table and chalk it down as a plan. But I feel that is one portion that can be in a collaborative way, done amongst all of us MIIs along with SEBI, to be able to give the benefit to the entire capital market. On the other hand, the second parallel that can also run is a healthy competition. Now, why do I say a healthy competition? Because first of all, competition needs to come in the exchange space, in a bigger way. Why is that? We have, as a country, a very large dream. Our Prime Minister's dream of 4 trillion to 10 trillion. And that will need multiple marketplaces. We are infrastructure. The second syllable is infrastructure for all of us, the MII, Market Infrastructure Institution. So I think that is where we would have to come up responsibly saying that we all together would create that. Competition is, why I say healthy and competition together, is so that we would come together to create that with the use of AI and be able to say that, let's have more platforms, more products. Collaboratively, let's decide and let's uniformly get into the last mile, whether it is information that needs to go out using AI in a more collaborative way.
Great, Latika. Let me hand over the session to our ED. Sir, just first question, two participants have spoken, the remaining people have not yet started. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, and my sincere apologies. I thought that this is a global fintech forum, so technology will take care, but unfortunately, technology was taken over by the human being, and once technology is taken by human being, it creates its own challenges. So today, though I sit in BKC only, but traveling to this place itself, because of the traffic police, took a lot of challenges, so my sincere apologies. I am sure these are more distinguished people in the MII space. They know better than us because we belong to a regulatory fold where we drive a lot of energy and knowledge from these people only. So in my absence, they would have definitely done the justice to this entire session. I have been told that all of you have spoken or only first two people have spoken. So cut it short, though there is a long speech which I will deliver at some other point of time. We will use the expertise of Piyush. All of us know that Piyush has driven many competent projects in this MII space. So Piyush, as you are familiar with the topic more than anybody else who is sitting on this dais, could you just take us through the journey? Because all of us know that since 1998, MII space has been the harbinger in adoption of technology. And why I am saying so is that when the entire world was struggling with the ring system, we moved to an electronic system, and same happened with the dematerialization. So all these two changes were absolutely driven by technology. And once we have adopted that, can you just take us through one specific or two specific projects where technology has really made great changes?
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. NSE itself was set up as the first fully automated trading screen in India, not in the world, not probably in India also, but the first one which actually succeeded. So some experiments were done across the world, including in India. It didn't work out. So NSE was the first test case which actually succeeded against everyone's expectations, probably including the founding team. I had nothing to do with that at that time in school, primary school to be precise. So I'm not taking any credit for that, but just because sir mentioned that I should take you through some history. So India actually succeeded doing something which other exchanges around the world didn't. That is to have a fully automated system which worked. So at that time, even the big exchanges in US, while they were experimenting with technology, they still had a trading floor also open. So it was like parallel, which was trading which was being done. NSE was the first one which started itself because they didn't have a floor, right? So they also didn't have luxury of probably doing parallel runs, but they started fully automated. It somehow clicked to the people in India who at that time were not very technologically savvy, but as we know, Indians are very quick to take up on technology. So even if technology they don't fully understand, they're like, okay, I know that this technology does this, so this is something which I would want to do. So fast forward a few years, we started a clearing corporation. Then we came up with the depositories concept, the dematerialization of shares, which also took away a lot of pain of settlement, both in terms of the timing of settlement, as well as the efficiency, and most importantly, the fraud and fake certificates. That issue got resolved because of the dematerialization of shares. Then India also became one of the first economies, first countries to come to T+2 settlement. So this is the time when even advanced economies were on T+3. Europe was on T+3 till mid-2010s. Okay, so they moved to T+2, or at least 10 years after we did. So all of those things India did much before the world. And in terms of number of transactions which we process, obviously most of you probably might be aware that almost 40 to 50% of the global transactions in the world, stock changes, get processed in India. So while we have small ticket sizes, because we are a small and not a poor country, but in terms of the transaction, which is the testament of technology, right? Because if you do one transaction of $1 billion versus 1 billion transactions of $1 each, all of you who are technology people know that the second one is infinitely more difficult to do compared to the first one, right? So in terms of that, India does a lot many more. Just in NSE, we do almost 30 crore trades a day, 100 times that many orders we process in a day, in a small window of 6 or 15 minutes. And other MIs also in India, they do very high numbers compared to their global peers. So that is where technology has taken us to in India. Even when I started my career, which was not long back, the way the trading was happening, it used to be jobbers, right? So even if there's arbitrage to be done, you would have manual people who are doing trading. That has now changed to algos, HFTs, all of those things. That also is not something which only big players do. Now everyone does their own algos. So that way we have come a long way. Last point I want to touch upon, because Manoj spoke about, is what we have done in India in terms of technology, a couple of big projects. One which we did was interoperability of CCPs. That is again something which was spoken about globally. We were the only ones who actually implemented full-fledged interoperability, even in derivative segment, which has not been done elsewhere in the world. And the last big project which we did before US also is T+1 settlement. And all of this we did with traditional technology. So when we speak about technology also, which we'll again talk more, idea is to implement things rather than worrying about which technology we are using to implement those things. Because sometimes we get caught up in buzzwords that we need to use this to implement this. You should first look at what do you want to implement and then see what is the best technology to basically achieve that goal. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Piyush. So beauty of our ecosystem is that somebody who is not involved was scared today. He is leading the entire show at NSE. And also in our ecosystem, people keep on changing. So the gentleman who is sitting at the extreme left, he was there in NSE and today he is driving BSE. So this is how we keep on leveraging upon the experience of these experts. So before I go to Sundararaman, I would request Praveena, because she is the newcomer in this entire MII space. So once you have now joined and you are old enough to share your experience as far as technology adoption, particularly in MCX is concerned.
Thank you very much. And I think much like we have the large exchanges on either side, NSE and BSE, leading the show on the equity and equity derivatives and many other segments, I think MCX is a stock exchange focused primarily on the commodity derivative space as a marketplace, and also holds the #1 rank globally when it comes to commodity options traded. So it puts all the pressure on technology, and I don't want to repeat a number of things that Piyush said. I'd like to focus a little bit on the use of artificial intelligence. And here, there is a use when it comes to infrastructure players like ourselves, who are really at the center of the play of transactions that are really getting processed both ways. And then there are a number of members who then offer these services to institutions, to retail, and so on and so forth. And the use of AI in both of these spaces is quite unique and quite distinct. So when we look at what's happening in the broader ecosystem, I think Piyush spoke about algorithmic trading, high-frequency trading, and I think use of technology and AI in the space of trading is certainly sophisticated and getting more sophisticated by the day. When it ultimately comes to technical data crunching, as Amit said, once you have the data governance in place, then how it gets used, really people are getting smarter. We're even looking at retail getting access to algorithmic trading. And the kind of use cases there abound: customer service, dispute resolution. I think when it comes to user experience, AI is going to be the king of how it defines how that gets applied. But at the infrastructure level, there are, I think, sort of three spaces. First and foremost is the space of compliance. Latika spent some time on that. When we look at the journey of a market infrastructure, both as being compliant to the regulator, SEBI, and then also managing compliance and regulations to the market, there are a number of things that happen. There is inspection, there is enforcement, there is surveillance. All of these are very heavy when it comes to data, when it comes to technology, but they are also very heavy when it comes to manual interface, paperwork, physical visits, and so on. And that's the journey that I think a number of us have been able to take to really look at eliminating that friction, being more proactive, taking, using data and leveraging data as the first level of identifying any sort of red flags. And that's the job AI is always going to do for us. AI is not going to do the final job. AI should and can effectively do the job at the first level so that the grounds up work up to 70% is done. The human intelligence factor, the people who have the domain experience really come in at the next level. So that is one space. In fact, at our booth here, we are also showcasing something we've done with AI on dabba trading. I don't know how many of you are familiar. This is a bit of a bane that happens. People just sort of run informal exchanges that have nothing to do with any of us, or they are not regulated. How can that be identified using some data signals, social media signals, and so on? And how can we sort of at least pick up those red flags early is something that we have developed, and we are also showcasing it here. Technology is going to be another big space. We heard some numbers. I think we look at anything in the order of 200 orders per second and larger. So it's very, very heavy when it comes to really low latency technology. And here, even a small thing going wrong has a very significant impact. So use of AI, again, from the day-to-day operational aspect, picking up anomalies, picking up red signals, picking up, being able to predict, potential disruption, downtimes that can happen. Looking at cybersecurity, and I was just talking to, Mr. Shastri, one of the eminent experts in the space, and today cybersecurity experts are, I won't say experts, but the hackers are actually unbundling cybersecurity, and they are becoming specialists in each space. Somebody detects a vulnerability, somebody creates an attack, somebody does the actual ransomware, and so on. So there again, the intensity and the forces at play, we'll have to leverage artificial intelligence wherever we can. So I think these are the sort of spaces playing out, and I'm not even talking of the business side, but these are at the core of some of the things that are in play as we speak.
Thank you. So Sundararaman, you are the only one who has seen different phases in this entire journey, because you were there at NSE and then now you are driving BSE. So what change you have seen and how you have adopted the technology which has enabled you to drive BSE to this extent? So if you can just share your personal experience surrounding this technological adoption aspect, I think it will give a good insight to the audience here.
Sure, sir. Thank you for that. My friend Piyush nicely narrated the journey of technology for stock exchanges. NSE was a pioneer there, and I was fortunate enough to be part of that pioneering journey. So most of it he has covered. Whatever we talk of adoption of technology at stock exchange has been possible only because of the regulatory patronage and guidance from time to time. The vision of regulators has helped. That is one part of it. And all adoption by stock exchanges would have been possible and has been possible only because the members have been supportive. So the members have actually traveled a very, very long journey. This you might have heard in some other session from some others as well from earlier NSE. When we started the exchange there, most of the people, the brokers, were not aware as to how to use computers. So one day when we had a help desk, we had a call telling, I will actually narrate the sequence of conversation in the way it happened. साहब जी हमारा सिस्टम खुलता नहीं है. Then the person in the help desk said, अच्छा ठीक है, एक काम करो, आप Windows खोलो. That's what he said. The prompt response from the other side was, इस रूम में तो खिड़की है ही नहीं. So that was the level of understanding at that point of time. And today you look at it, how much the members have transformed. In fact, they talk more technology than many of us in the exchanges talk. So this is one very important point which I thought I should add to whatever great value already all the other panelists have added. And when we started, we used to very proudly tell, you know how the trade happens? It starts as an order from the broker's office, it goes to a satellite, it comes to our hub here, and then it goes back again, and then goes to the client. Do you know how long it takes? It just takes 1.08 seconds. Today, if I tell that, people will say 1.08 seconds. I don't want to trade with your exchange. So the paradigm of time has changed drastically. Today, we are talking in terms of nanoseconds and microseconds. So fast forward to AI. What is the expectation for people like us when we talk of use of AI in technology? Multiple. It could be cost, it could be compliance, it could be faster deduction, therefore efficiency, or it could be time efficiency. Many of this appear to be possible through use of AI. Well, there is nothing which is only positive, right? I'm sure it has its own negative sides as well. So that's where we stand at this point of time. At BSc, we have started using AI in certain areas and we are exploring more use, but we are very conscious of the negatives and disadvantages as well.
So good, you brought to a very sensitive topic which is very close to our heart also as a regulator. Because when we talk about the technology adoption and particularly the usage of AI, we from a regulatory perspective see from three aspects, and I think all of you will agree to that. One is that how far the particular technology is facilitating onboarding of client, because that is critical for everybody, for us as a regulator and you as a business oriented entity. And second is that how seamlessly the transaction is happening and how quickly the settlement is taking place, because that is core to all of us. And thirdly, and most important, is that how robust the risk management framework is. If we are able to take care of these three aspects through technology adoption, more usage of AI, I think you are keeping regulator in a very peaceful zone. And once a regulator is in peaceful zone, the journey of everybody becomes far. This is another aspect of technology, but no issues. I can speak without the mic also. So Dr. Das, now I have indicated three things. Surrounding these three things, what is your experience where in this entire regulatory fold we have done tremendously well or where we are lagging?
Of the three buckets, I think the onboarding, transaction and settlement versus risk mitigation, I'll probably just use within onboarding or somewhere operations as a running thread. And I come from a traditional fintech background. So the onboarding is one bucket where I feel there is a lot of innovation that has happened. We've kind of made it smoother. There's of course long ways to go and we can keep improving that. But what has happened is our ability to triage data and make it smooth, frictionless, kind of reduce the barriers to entry into the markets. I think that part has been one place where a lot of fintechs have played a tremendous role. And they have kind of come back, given us recommendations on what could be allowed. Are you okay with this change? And we've seen that kind of play out in terms of how you have intermediaries versus, frontline tech enablers who have made it easy to kind of onboard customers. And they are deploying a lot of, I would call it verification versus personalization kind of AI tech. But I think the big focus for us in the second stage should be this whole transaction settlement. What else can we do from fraud, money management, etc. perspective? Because we have come a long way, but to just keep working on the maturity of the market, trust is the biggest currency. And I think the biggest negative about AI has to be only two things. One is a fear of data abuse, and second is the trust. Can I really trust this advice? Can I really trust this interface? Can I really trust this recommendation where I can't hold a human being accountable? So my favorite example is few years back we were debating with RBI about video KYC. And one of the ways it has been implemented is that there is a human agent who does verification and customer onboarding in the case of current account, saving account. So the thing was, I was trying to argue that, when somebody enters an airport, and today's Digi Yatra is a good example of that, there is a pure personless technology and there's an in-person technology. Do you really believe that somebody can look at my driving license photograph and say, this is the same person? I said, I can't say that with a lot of confidence. But somehow, when I look at the face match sort of recognition technology, it is able to say, this person is 90% the same because it operates differently. The short-term answer, which I think was a very profound answer, was that we'll use technology as an enabler, but we'll keep human in the loop as sort of a check. Once we are very sure how this is working, we'll migrate to the next stage. So that building that trust in the technology, building the trust in the algorithms, whether it is payments, whether it is fraud, whether it is recon, I think that will be one big frontier. I think as regulators, you will probably drive the whole risk mitigation anyways, because I think people like us, we should push the boundaries a little bit while respecting what the regulator is trying to do, so that innovation keeps happening without leading to any sort of abuse.
Latika, when I entered, you were talking about there has to be competition, and as a regulator, we love that there has to be competition among MIIs. So keeping that aspect in mind, you as an exchange is trying to compete. Now, while focusing on competition, out of these three aspects, which is one particular area where you are focusing at present, because you are still trying to achieve that benchmark in your entire journey?
Thanks, Manoj. I would answer your question, of course, and I'll take on the cue from Amit. I think part of, having the healthy competition is, which I also said, was collaboration. Collaboration is a very, very central component. And out of the three aspects you spoke of, surveillance is one part which cannot happen without a collaborative platform, and SEBI would like to see that, because one of the key mandates is protecting this entire market. When we are protecting, and when we can protect it in a better way, if we come together with our used cases and we are able to say, because finally technology does what we tell it to do. AI is nothing but it is aping what the human mind analyzes and puts together. And it is very important on the aspect that Amit touched on, the trust factor, which of course gets compounded with transparency. That am I able to tell people that yes, I am using AI when I'm addressing these concerns, 1, 2, 3. Am I openly able to say it? Am I using my responsibility hat when I am using AI, when I am using it for third-party data, which is going to get processed, and it is possible that there would be certain, addressable issues in that, because there could be certain disputes, while it is still, formatting, even if we move to generative AI, but we are saying that it is only learning. Finally, it is learning and it is becoming better on the next day. So that conscientiousness, but it cannot happen without all of us coming together and saying we are ready to put the entire pool of our knowledge, whether it was, Sundar and I have worked together in the past at NSE, whether we were trying to find out what were the issues, why prices were getting manipulated, and writing down formulas as to how that would be caught in a data mining or in, in those particular tools which were available, 20, 25 plus years back. It is now advanced to saying that what you were thinking is translating into what the machine will think. So putting this together in a collaborative way will also allow competition to come in a healthier way, because then you can compete on the other two aspects that got spoken on, where you can come with intelligently saying how exactly these trades can become far more efficient. Sundar spoke about time. But that there was a 1 second that used to happen, and today we're talking in nano. So of course, time has become the essence, and AI should just work collaboratively to ensure that it is finally delivering to us what is required to grow off this market. So
good. I think the best example for collaborative effort is interoperability. If you all recall that all of you were kind enough to come together and put that project in operation, and I am sure it may be doing great. not as we expected, but probably it is doing better. So Piyush, you were kid when Latika and Sundararaman were fighting and writing codes, right? So what is your experience surrounding these three aspects which I highlighted? Where you feel that as an MII space we are lagging or we have done tremendously well?
Sure, sir. So when we talk about AI, so currently all the buzz is about Gen AI. But before that, so Gen AI is basically the AI which deals with text. So all your large language models, etc., they are the ones which deal with text. Now, before that, so why I'm using these words is because a lot of what we do has to be deterministic. So Mr. Sundararaman spoke about how trading, clearing, settlement happens in a seamless manner. The monitor also spoke about how that has to go through in a certain way. Can you use Gen AI for trading, clearing, settlement? Answer is no. Can you do Gen AI for risk management the way we do it? Answer is no. Why? Because Gen AI is something which will give you a good result. It will not give you an exact result. Okay? So in our world, a lot of what we do has to be deterministic. The trading, the clearing, the settlement, it has to match to the last 5th decimal, 7th decimal in terms of currency derivatives, for instance. Now, that is a different problem statement. Now, what we do, and I think Latika mentioned about what maybe 25 years, the tools she felt she wanted and they were not available, is that today we actually deal with large set of data. Now, how do you use AI, not Gen AI, to deal with those kind of things? So basically, what we do is we have a lot of pattern recognition applications. Now, pattern recognition also can work in two ways. One is what is called as rule-based models, and one which is real AI is where you give data to AI model and ask it to give you things which are abnormal. And then you would want to create a model around that. So it just throwing or detecting something is also not the end objective, right? Then you have to figure out कि अगर ये हो रहा है तो क्यों हो रहा है? Is there a market abuse? What is it that how? So basically, even if you talk about algos, no algo today trades on AI. Why it cannot? Because even their model has to be deterministic. What they might do is, they might look at, instead of 100 factors, AI might be able to let me do 1 lakh factors. It will create a model which they will code and then they will backtest just like they would do any other model. So that's why determinism becomes important. In case of Gen AI, there are a lot of use cases which some of them we have already implemented also at NSC. We don't speak too much about it, but first is that what is not AI? So any very fancy visualization tool is not AI, even though sometimes get touted as. Anything which is a string search application is not Gen AI. However, for instance, in NSC, what we have done today for listing is that we have implemented a AI model. So first is again, we spoke about what is the danger of using AI, because AI also learns. So whenever you give something to it, it will also upload. So how we have solved the problem is, we actually have cut off the model from the internet. So what we have done is we downloaded a Gen AI model, and we have done little bit of training on it on our data, and after that it's cut off. So no data. So when we send something to that model, it gives us an answer based on whatever it has been trained till then. There is no further training, which is definitely a negative. However, we are also sure that whatever you upload, so someone cannot ask the same AI model what is NSC looking at when they are looking at DRHP. Okay, you will still get an answer, but that will not be based on our data. So that is how we deal with that problem of what even Amit mentioned about that how is your data going to be safe in the world of AI. So one mechanism which we have done is like that. And what we have done is also, because again AI models keep evolving, so you cannot also use an outdated AI model. So I'm using a very simplistic word. It is not as simple as that. But basically we have created a model which is more like a plug and play. So today I have this model which works well with the lowest amount of hallucination. Tomorrow a new model comes, or that model ka bhi next version comes. I remove this, I plug that one in. I'm again saying it's not as simple as plugging it in, but it works similar to that.
Right.
It will require some technology, but it works similar to that. So that is how we are solving that problem. Data which is completely public, like today for instance, we also use public data pay AI. There we don't have to worry about that. For instance, if I'm doing social media monitoring, that entire social media, all those posts are anyway in public domain. So there I'm not worried about, I am giving some data to them to get something. Or when we do also some kind of relationships when we want to create between companies and directors and people, which looks at all the public level data, all MCA data, GST data, all the court cases, everything which is public domain, social media data. So all of that is public domain data. There again, I don't have to worry about the usage of that data.
So nice, it's given us a good perspective. Meanwhile, our time is up, but still we can have 2 additional minutes without seeking specific permission from the organizers. So now Praveena, you see, securities market, when we see as a whole, commodity is one piece where we believe as a regulator that many things can be done. And fortunately, we have a great experience based on the capital market. So any 1 or 2 pointers where you feel that in commodity segment we can adopt AI and it can deliver or resolve a particular challenge?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think the use cases would be the same, nothing specific to commodity at this point. But I want to just take it from another perspective. How many people here actually use AI like day to day? How do you use it for yourself? Show of hands.
Everybody.
50%, I think. But reasonable number, yeah, pretty good. Because I think that's the start of the AI journey. The start of the AI journey in any organization, while I think, we know the various spaces, compliance, technology, surveillance, deterministic, where we can't use it, where we can use it. Ultimately, it has to be the human intelligence that works and controls, manages, understands the artificial intelligence so that it can be used effectively. And the starting point is for everyone to start using AI for their day-to-day work. Whatever, make a document, summarize something, make a PPT, do some email, wherever. It's all over the place anyway, right, from productivity standpoint. And then start mapping a human to an agent. Human to agent, so that in the workspace, so if it's inspection, if it is whatever is a space we've determined, and that's the way we intend to go about this, is really to do that mapping so that the understanding is very clear. What can AI do? What can AI not do? Where can it go wrong? How is it working? What's really the model? And then we evolve to something that can be slightly more autonomous in the way it operates. So I think I just wanted to cover this aspect as we move forward in the approach and methodology to handle some of the challenges.
Right, Sundararaman?
In the interest of time, what I would like to put across is there are multiple use cases possible for AI in stock exchanges. Piyush nicely put a word to it. It has to be, whatever we do are deterministic. Maybe it may not give the actual result, it may have a good result. So keeping that in mind, the use cases could be in fairly identifying surveillance situations, fairly identifying defects in documents, fairly simplifying the work of data crunching. So these are some of the areas where we are looking at in BSc, and I am sure over a period of time we will gain experience and the users will be better.
Okay, thank you. I think time is absolutely up, and we don't have a freedom to seek further extension. So I would like to thank all of you, and once again a sincere apology. But before I close, I think the approach is changing from let us enable to let us govern type of structure in the entire AI space. And there may not be any hard and fast rule. All of you, based on your experience, have done tremendously well. And I am sure going forward, you will do further well and give a lot of satisfaction to us as a regulator per se. Thank you very much.
Indeed, thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. I've requested you kindly come together forward up in stage for a group photograph, please. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our session on leveraging AI, use cases, benefits and challenges. We'd like to thank Mr. Amit Das, Ms. Latika Kundu, Mr. Piyush Chourasia, Ms. Praveena Rai, Mr. Sundararaman Ramamurthy and Mr. Manoj Kumar. Thank you so very much for that insightful session that has enriched all of us. As they get together for a group photograph, we'd like to thank them for the enlightenment they provided. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance.